And I want to break in here with both of you. We've got some earnings coming across here. Rigetti Computing coming in with a third quarter operating loss of $20.5 million. That's higher than the estimate calling for a loss for 20.1. Their revenue coming in at $1.9 million for the third quarter. Estimates were looking for $2.17 million. So also a miss there. They're also reporting a third quarter loss per share of 62 cents. Estimated loss per share was about 5 cents, 4.5 to 5 cents. So a pretty significant miss across the board here. Rigetti not moving as violently as I expected to the downside, trading down about 1.5% right now. But, KG, as we're looking at these numbers, they weren't expected to be great, and they are small numbers, in terms of their revenue numbers, but a significant miss here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're kind of looking at a trend for today, a lot of these quantum stocks did not catch a bid. That was one area of the market that was actually still fairly weak. Rigetti, I'll still call it pre-revenue. It is making revenue, but it's very small, and a lot of that is coming from government contracts and some consulting work that they are doing. So really not surprising that that number obviously is coming in fairly light, and their expenses continue to outpace as they are continuing to spend money on CapEx and try to expand the quantum spaces as a whole. But this is a stock that a lot of investors have looked towards as maybe the next NVIDIA over the next 10 years or 15 years or so. So they know the near-term headwinds that they are going to be facing, but if they have any type of material breakthrough, this could be one that does capture a lot of attention, especially for the mega cap tech names. So the earnings are really not surprising. I think the conference call and their conversations around new contracts and new funding from the U.S. government, even the Department of Defense, probably would be the major catalyst for the stock to move higher post after hours.
And Sam, I know you've had a lot of conversations in this quantum space about Rigetti and some of its competitors. Knowing how small their revenues are, how important is it on the conference call for them to have some significant new large contract or even a line on a significant new large contract based on the notes that you've read and the conversations you've had?
Yeah, I've been having a lot of conversations around this, particularly because this sort of falls in the bucket of what has largely been seen as more of a speculative trade. I mean, a lot of capital has been flowing into this, basically on the thinking, at least, that it's going to be predicated on what is going to be, a revolutionary technology. But I mean, this is early days. This is early innings for quantum computing right now. So I think you're right that we do need an update, particularly certainly on the contracts, particularly with regards to the government, which it already has actually in the defense space, which does help. But any update and sort of development around that, certainly on what they're doing to this sort of path to more commercialization as well, I think is going to be very helpful to see where it's up as far as its technological milestones as well. I know that this stock has been catching a bid throughout the course of the year on some sort of incremental technological breakthroughs that it's been making too. It has previously said, as if my mind serves me correctly, that it is on track to actually meet its 2025 goals as far as some of its technology is concerned. So no doubt the call will be interesting as to, how many people sort of hold it accountable for that and to that, and whether we do get an update very much on its strategic positioning as well, as we do look across this space and, have been paying attention to the IonQs and all the other ones in this space as well.
All right. And, KG, final thoughts as we're about to get CoreWeave here. I just want to remark that they did now just put out their adjusted EPS number. When it's adjusted, their quarterly loss of 3 cents per share does beat the analyst's estimate, which was calling for 4 to 5 cents per share. So they're going to record not both a top and bottom line miss on those adjusted numbers. But final thoughts here, KG, as we jump over to CoreWeave in a second.
Yeah, I would agree. Look, very a small market for now. It's going to expand. You also have to be mindful. There's a lot of major players within this space as well, from the Intels, IBMs to Google. So they do have a niche in the market. They are trying to work with the Department of Defense, but it's going to be a long time in order for us to see some really meaningful technological advances when it comes to this company or a lot of the other smaller ones.
All right, so let's jump over to CoreWeave here now and take a look. Their third quarter loss per share coming in at 22 cents. That's considerably better than estimates, which range anywhere from 39 cents to 57 cents for a loss there. They also posted a net loss of $110.1 million. The estimated loss was supposed to be 299.6. So a considerably better performance there as well. EBITDA margins coming in at 61%. Expectations were calling for 62.3. Their operating income at $217.2 million, better than estimates calling for 177.2. They are not putting out any guidance I can see just yet, but as their adjusted EBITDA coming in at $838.1 million, better than the $821.7, which was expected. Revenue for the third quarter coming in at $1.36 billion, better than the estimates calling for $1.29. And we're seeing that reflected in the price action here. Shares up more than 3.5% already. But this is a highly volatile stock, as we talked about during Options Corner with Rick Ducat. Options market pricing in about a move up plus or minus 14% here. So certainly not anywhere in that territory. KG, as we're just getting our first look at their third quarter numbers, what are some of your thoughts here? We're now making a reversal also to the downside.
Yeah, their backlog of orders as of September 30th came in at $55.6 billion. I think the street was actually looking for $60 billion, so they missed probably about $5 billion on that. And that's including all of these orders that they're getting from and these deals from the NVIDIAs of the world and OpenAIs. And so this is going to be a volatile name. Once again, this is a company that is trying to build out and spend out a lot of money when it comes to building out these data centers, purchasing, well, we can call them leasing, right? Leasing some of these NVIDIA chips, if you will. There's an interesting deal that they have there, but they are going to really try to fill the capacity or the overcapacity from the major hyperscalers. That's where you get a little concerned if you're looking at the long-term trajectory, because does it become a commoditized business, and do you start seeing a lot of these players really pushing prices to the downside, and does that squeeze margins over the long term? But for now, there is still an investment cohort that is out there that's very optimistic when it comes to this name. But this is on kind of the fringe elements, if you will, when it comes to the AI trade just in general, similar to what we have for Oracle. That's building out a lot of capacity because they see demand right now, but are they going to overbuild in the future, and is that going to actually impact them? For now, it's not a concern, but that's something to keep on the radar here when you're looking at this name.
And Kevin, we are seeing some whipsawing now. We are trading almost 2% higher now after just while you were talking. We completely reversed course here. What do you expect to be the most major catalyst on the call in terms of what CoreWeave can say to determine how their price action might look tomorrow?
Yeah, remaining performance obligations, that's it. Because at the end of the day, they're either going to spend money, and if they're able to spend money, or if they're going to spend money, they got to prove that they actually have a backlog of orders to backfill that. And if they don't, and they don't have that proper balance, that's where you have a problem. That's where you have I don't even call it a meta problem, but that's where you have an Oracle problem, where you start tapping into debt markets, maybe additional offerings when it comes to the equity space, diluting shareholders to raise cash in order to build out these data centers. But if you're not getting the orders, that becomes a problem. Right now, that is not an issue, so I want to be really, really clear about that. But it is concern that a lot of analysts do have over the next year, 2 years or so, the sustainability of these business models for these companies that are taking the overcapacity from the hyperscalers, because that's exactly where they're getting the demand right now. But at some point, are those hyperscalers going to be able to scale up enough in order to meet all of the demand for their internal clients? And that eventually probably will happen.
Yeah, certainly an ongoing question that a lot of people are asking. Kevin, we appreciate you being with us to go through these earnings with us for CoreWeave and Rigetti Computing. CoreWeave now trading up about 1.2% after they posted better than expected results. Rigetti trading down about 2.5% after an EPS beat, but a miss on their revenue.